Sonoran Desert. At over 100,000 square miles, it is enormous. It is also the hottest of all the North American deserts. Yet even here, there is life. It is a place for those that have the strength to endure, the cunning to adapt, the will to survive. They are qualities shared by the men and women that dare to push their very limits. They come here to test their inner strength, to see if they can adapt to the challenges they will face. They come to the desert to take on the 2009 edition of Ford Ironman Arizona. There are hours remaining before the start of the race, yet they are here. Few slept much anyway. The night before an Ironman tends to be that way. So they check and recheck. Spare tires, fuel for the day. Nothing is left to chance. When you put this much time and effort, when you sacrifice so much to accomplish something that can be life-altering, you make sure you take control over everything you can, because everyone knows at the Ironman there are things you simply cannot control.
You know, just the little things that usually catch you off guard, forgetting the one little item that you planned on putting on your bike in the morning. So it's little stuff like that. You just have to, you know, plan ahead and hope that you've got enough.
I think you go into a race with plan A and you have it written down and memorized, and you just need to be flexible. And then something happens, you know, you bump into someone, you drop your salt tablet, something happens, and then you go to plan B. And, you know, hopefully by the end of the race, you're only at like plan F instead of plan Z.
There's no turning back, there's no quitting, there's no surrender.
3 disciplines make up the Ironman. On their own, they would be a formidable challenge, a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a marathon. But at the Ironman, they are done in succession. If the distances are not daunting enough, for many the time limits placed on each discipline will make it nearly impossible. That was the cruel reality for Rudy Garcia Tolson just a few weeks ago. After 10.5 hours, his race at the Ford Ironman World Championship was over. He missed the bike cutoff time by just 8 minutes. What would be devastating for some, for Garcia Tolson, well, it was just another hurdle, another challenge in a life highlighted not by what can't be done, but by what can be done.
Thank you very much.
I want to show people around the world that, you know, having a disability is only a challenge, and the real disability is having a negative attitude.
To spend time with Rudy Garcia Tolson is an elixir for the soul. The positive energy is there for all to absorb. It's always been that way with Rudy, even when he was having surgery to repair a cleft palate or undergoing numerous attempts to repair his 2 legs. Always there was that contagious outlook on life. When surgeons, his family, and a 5-year-old boy decided amputating both legs above the knee was the best remaining option, Rudy was all for it if it meant he could go outside and play. Once his first prosthetics arrived, there was no stopping.
Deep down inside, I'm one of those persons who likes to push myself to the fullest and see what I'm made of, see what the human body can do. Because, you know, at the end of the day, we all have 2 things in common. We're all born and we're all going to die. And so it really matters what you do in between that really defines you.
He's become the patron saint of any kid with a disability. If you have a disability and you think you can't do something, look at this kid. Look at Rudy. There is absolutely nothing that he can't do. He surfs, he skateboards, he's won 2 Paralympic gold medals in swimming, he does triathlons. and one day he's going to finish the Ironman. There's no limits. And that's sort of what we're trying to tell people, that through sport, that even if you're challenged, if you're missing a leg or missing an arm, with the right sport and the right mentor, there's no reason you can't accomplish anything and everything in life.
Garcia Tolson has been proving that his entire life. Despite being only 21, his accomplishments are impressive by anyone's standards. But there are always new goals, the latest to complete the Ironman. That quest took Rudy to Hawaii this year for the Ford Ironman World Championship.
Rudy Tolson Garcia is out of the water and attempting his first Ironman.
But late into his bike, the dream looked to be in jeopardy. By the end of the 112-mile course, it was confirmed.
You tried your best.
Rudy Garcia Tolson would miss the bike cutoff by just 8 minutes.
To not finish Kona, just because I'm a very competitive person, it was on one side kind of embarrassing, because and deep down inside I knew that with a different situation, preparation-wise, going into that race, I would have nailed it. I don't know, I just felt really disappointed in myself, because I knew that, you know, I could have done a lot better. But at that day, at that time, I gave my heart and soul out in that course.
While the venue has changed, the goal remains the same. Rudy Garcia Tolson is here to become an Ironman.
There's many reasons why I think for me it's important to finish an Ironman. For one, of course, it's just to show the little kids out there who are in the same situation as me that, you know, the sky's the limit if you put your mind to it. It's all about having a positive attitude, and you can do anything.
For Garcia Tolson, for all the amateurs, their race now only moments from getting underway. The months, even years of preparation are in the past. What lays ahead is the toughest single-day endurance event in the world, the Ironman.
The 2009 Ford Ironman Arizona is on its way!
Despite what everyone knows, that the day will consist of 9, 10, even 17 hours for some, the start somehow looks like a sprint race. It's a flurry of arms and legs. Everyone's fighting for position, looking to get underway, hoping to avoid a wayward punch or kick. Things such as broken noses, although rare, can happen. For the professionals, they got underway 15 minutes early. It's a new season of sorts, the World Championship taking place over a month ago. Here today, a field like few other races can boast. There are past champions from this race, from other Ironman races around the world. There are those that have placed high at the Worlds and those that believe that their time is coming. Taking a win at Ford Ironman Arizona would be a great way to boost one's career. At the front, for the men, Canadian Wolfgang Gumbel. But the top seeds, including 6-time Ironman champion Reinhard Tissing from South Africa, America's TJ Tollefson, and Jordan Rapp are all well positioned. For the women, Leanda Cave said she would destroy them in the water, and the Great Britain star is doing just that. But holding on to the lead at the Ironman distance, that's been another story. Canadian Wolfgang Gumbel will be the first to head out on the bike course. It's a small advantage, but an advantage all the same. Richie Cunningham will be second to hit the 112-mile course, and it's frantic right now in transition. So the first out in pursuit, well, that's the Aussie, Richie Cunningham, Belgium's Axel Zeebroek, third, and another Australian, Paul Ambrose, is fourth. The chase pack exits the water 2 minutes back. And in this group, America's TJ Tollefson and South Africa's Reinhard Tissing. Both men expect to be in the hunt for the win when it's all said and done. Leanda Cave has completed the swim as well, 50-10. Her advantage over the other women will be the number she is most concerned with, though. For American Jordan Rapp, He lost to Chase Group, in process losing 45 seconds to his main rivals. Last year, he finished third here. His deficit to the winner, 45 seconds. American Gina Kerr is second out, but Cade has built up a 3-minute, 30-second lead over her nearest rival. It's still early, but the lead is significant, and Cade will be well out of sight, and she hopes out of mind when she's on the bike. For Australian Kate Major, well, there's worse news. The former champion, just over 5 minutes back. As the professionals continue to exit the water, the amateurs, well, they continue to make their way around Tempe Town Lake. Welcome back to Ford Ironman Arizona. Just over 2,500 started the race. Setting a course record, well, among the group of athletes, a man that has set many personal athletic records, Rudy Garcia Tolson. He already has 2 Paralympic gold medals, both of those coming in swimming, so it's no real surprise that he would complete this course in just over an hour. Now, though, he wants to add becoming the first above-the-knee double amputee to finish an Ironman. In his first attempt, an area of concern was the transition from the swim to the bike. Now, there are things that need to be taken care of when you make that transition, and the feeling among his team was that in Hawaii, the difference between making it on the bike and not was that transition. So it's one of the things that they have been working on in preparation for this race. Everyone looking to move through the transition area effectively. The goal is not to waste time while keeping the heart rate in check. Rudy Garcia Tolson with a much quicker transition than in Hawaii as he too begins to move towards the bike. When you know making the bike cutoff could come down to minutes, even seconds, everything right now counts. The pros are moving into the heart of the Sonoran Desert. Temperatures expected to be mild, thankfully. A relief for all, but there is a strong wind to deal with. Wolfgang Gumbel continues to lead. The Canadian moved into the top position during the swim. Few expect him to be in that position when the bike comes to an end. American TJ Tollefson has made it clear he has come here with one goal, and that's to win this pass on Germany's René Gohler. Done with purpose. Tollefson plans to set a punishing pace on the bike. Catching the front 4 is next on his agenda. "17 seconds. It can be a flash, or it can be an eternity. It really depends on one's perspective, but what is clear is that it is a number that haunts American TJ Tollefson.
It brings back a lot of memories. It's obviously a pretty emotional time for me. I thought I had that win wrapped up in April, and ended up losing by 17 seconds. So it was close, and I've thought about that a lot.
Being second has also been on the Iowa athlete's mind. It happened here last year, and it happened again this year at Ford Ironman Coeur d'Alene.
I'm hungry. I've come close in 3 different races to winning a race. I haven't won an Ironman yet, so I'm ready for it to be my turn to win.
Right now, no letting up on the bike for Tollefson. Belgium's Axel Zeebroek, the latest victor. The American is now 3rd. Australia's Paul Ambrose, the next target. TJ Tollefson with only one man to catch Wolfgang Gumbel. The shark in the water is being watched in the desert. But there is another American to be concerned with. Jordan Rapp is riding quicker than anyone else. His 2:45 deficit after the swim has now been cut to mere seconds. American Jordan Rapp was part of that memorable race here in April of 2008. He battled his way onto the podium in the closing moments. His motivation? A girl's best friend.
I was at that point thinking about buying a wedding ring, and like I was in fourth, and it's a pretty big prize money difference between fourth and third. And I thought, you know, if I can make it a third, you know, that's makes it a whole lot easier to buy a nice ring.
Fast forward to this year's race. The wedding now just a few weeks away.
It's been a welcome distraction a lot of times. I think I set out also to do some charity work for this race and raise some money for World Bicycle Relief in Africa. And so I've had other things to think about, and I think at the same time, getting married has emphasized to me that this is my job and that I'm a professional and that this is how I earn a living.
Rapp finally got his first Ironman title, winning earlier this year in Canada. Now the goal is to close out the season with a second championship here at Ford Ironman Arizona. At the turnaround, Jordan Rapp makes his move. The other men will take notice to be sure, but the question is who will respond and who will be left to hope that the American is going too fast and will eventually self-destruct. It is decision time for the pro men here at Ford Ironman Arizona. TJ Tollefson has made his choice, and he will not let his countrymen ride away. These two were separated last year by just 28 seconds. Rapp with a late charge to take third. For Tollefson, it was a late lapse that dropped him into second place. The two men resuming their battle once again here in the Sonora Desert. The man that beat them both, Hungary's Josef Major, is here, and he's racing well. While training in the area, though, he was hit by a car. Numerous injuries, including a collapsed lung. Incredible that he is here racing despite not being anywhere close to 100%. Indeed, that is the courage of a champion. When you think of the word courage and champion, you cannot help but thinking about Rudy Garcia-Tolson. He is out on the 112-mile bike course now. 6 weeks ago, he was doing the same thing at the Ford Ironman World Championship. However, he missed completing the discipline before the mandatory cutoff time. Since then, he has been focused on making sure that it doesn't happen again. If any of the women were hoping Leanda Cave's swim was her only strength of the day, well, the reality is beginning to sink in. The Briton has actually increased her lead to more than 5 minutes. California's Meredith Kieran Kessler is second. As an amateur, she was undefeated this year. Now she's a member of the program. Closing in, Samantha McGlone, the Canadian trying to recover from a substandard swim. This pass on American Gina Kerr, moving her into third. A nearly 9-minute deficit to Cave, now down to 7/3. It's home to the Gila monster, one of only 2 poisonous lizards in the entire world. The amphibian spends 95% of its life below ground, avoiding the unrelenting sun. The same sun that attracts thousands from around the world. They come here to challenge themselves against the distance and against the elements. It is Great Britain's Leanda Cave who has put down the opening challenge in the pro women's race. The former ITU star has a pair of world titles, but at the Ironman distance, success has remained elusive. Behind her, things continue to change. Samantha McGlone is riding quicker than any other woman. In fact, she is on a course record pace. Meredith Kieran Kessler, the latest to see the pace firsthand, McGlone exited the water in 10th. The Canadian is now second. Former Canadian Olympian Samantha McGlone took to long-distance racing in perfect stride. In 2006, she became the first women's champion of the Foster Grant Ironman World Championship 70.3. The following year, it was off to Hawaii, where she took the runner-up spot at the Ford Ironman World Championship. But then in 2008, an injury. The season completely lost.
I've learned a lot just watching some of the Ironmans. Watching Kona last year was a big eye-opener for me, and you know, racing, just having a few more marathons under my belt, you just get used to knowing what that pain is going to be like at the end of the race.
A fifth this year in Kona is a reminder to all that McGlone is a major threat at any race she enters. And while she has yet to win an Ironman, she is to many the pre-race favorite at Ford Ironman Arizona.
Anytime you show up on the start line, you know, fit and healthy and ready to go, it's, you know, you want to fight for it because it's a long day and you can't just do another one the next weekend. So this weekend is very important. It'll be the end of the season, and I just love to end on a big finish, hopefully a win.
McGlone continues to chip away at the lead. Cave established during the swim. The Canadian is now only 5 minutes back. Still, for Leanda Cave, it has been a near perfect race. But then again, she has been in this position before, late on the pike. The run, though, is where things seem to always come unraveled. The professional rookie still having a great race. Meredith Kieran Kessler is now nearly 9 minutes back, good enough for third. Right behind her, 3 women with impressive professional credentials. Australian Kate Major, back in 6th is American Gina Kerr, and on the move is fellow American Lindsay Corbin. The third-year pro was 5th at the Ford Ironman World Championship in 2008 and 11th this past year. This pass on Kieran Kessler has the 28-year-old now third. Kate Major is no stranger to head-to-head racing as she follows the pace being set by Corbin. With the amateur component that surrounds a free-loop course, everyone knows if you lose touch, working your way back to that group could be very difficult. At 32, the veteran has a pair of Ironman titles. But 2009 has not been a season to remember. In 2005, Australian Kate Major won here, but she had no intention of being here in 2009. But then again, she didn't expect to finish 19th at the Ford Ironman World Championship. A mediocre bike, a worse run left the woman with 3 podiums at the Worlds searching for answers.
This year, I don't know what happened. The last 6 weeks I've been trying to figure it out, and I've just sort of let it go because I can't pinpoint it. So it's just one of those days. Everything leading up was great, but something just happened and nothing worked. So
out on course, Major told herself that Hawaii was it for the season. It was a day of disappointment, the end to an unfulfilling year.
That day, and you feel all the hardships and how hard it is to get through it, and then it's like, within a few weeks you're like, yeah, I'll do another one, and then that day you're like, nah, this is it, and then you just forget. And so now I've classed it as athlete amnesia, AA. Yeah.
American Gina Kerr is the latest to mount an attack as the Californian looks to establish a mental edge on the rest of the competition. With 5 top 10 finishes at the Ford Ironman World Championship, Kerr has established herself as one of the sport's most consistent performers. This year in Hawaii was to be her final pro race, but after being disqualified, she wanted to end her career in a more positive manner. Her first pro race, well, it was right here in Arizona back in 1998. Her final pro race will be here in Arizona as well. More changes with the women. American Gina Kerr, the latest to occupy third, but once again, Kate Major, she's on the move. It's Major, Kerr, and then Lindsay Corbin in fifth. Back with the men, Jordan Rapp changed the complexion of this race early on the bike when he powered his way to the front, but TJ Tollefson has not only stayed with him, now it is the Iowa triathlete that has the lead. For Rapp, crossing the finish line behind Tollefson, well, that's a very recent memory. The pair finishing second and third here a year ago. Since then, Rapp did take a first ever Ironman title, winning in Canada. He said a year ago he was not mentally prepared to win, but now he is, and Rapp is back into the lead. South Africa's Raynard Tissink and Paul Ambrose lead the chase group as they hit the turnaround. The group now more than 5 minutes back. Then it's Belgium's Zebra, Germany's René Goller, Aussie Richie Cunningham, and Abel Torsten rounding out the top 7 here at Ford Ironman Arizona. Welcome back to Tempe, Arizona, and the 2009 edition of Ford Ironman Arizona, taking place in the Sonoran Desert. As the bike comes to a close for the pros, for the amateurs, still miles and miles remain as they continue to make their way around the course here in Tempe and the surrounding area. Working away out among the 2,500 athletes, Rudy Garcia Tolson. He came here with a clear mission to finish the Ironman. After the disappointment of missing the bike cutoff in Hawaii, Rudy Garcia Tolson has spent the last 6 weeks doing nothing but training, nothing but preparing. The 112-mile bike continues, and beating the mandatory cutoff time, well, that is still hours away.
Rudy, you're awesome!
For Jordan Rapp, the men's leader, and TJ Tollefson, they are working away on the final of 3 loops. The pair have been shadowing each other for hours. Tollefson with yet another move, another pass, as he looks for any mental edge possible. The wind, it continues to be a factor, but still the pace has been extremely high. A new course record looks to be in the making. The question is, who will have it when the bike ends? The pair continue to exchange blows, all the while building on their advantage over the chase group. Australian Paul Ambrose is third. You know, he had the fastest bike split this year at an ITU World Championship. His 8-minute deficit, though, is a clear indication that we are witnessing a world-class performance on the bike by both Rapp and Tollefson. Abel Torsten, another that was unable to stay with the leader's pace. The German, 9 minutes back. Raynard Tissink, who was the Ford Ironman Wisconsin champion, well, he's completely out of contention. He's 10th, 15 minutes behind. A late push on the bike now from Jordan Rapp. This time, though, TJ Tollefson doesn't respond. Or could he not respond? The run for the men is coming up. Still more than 3 hours to go. The tight quarters continue for the women. Kate Major, the latest to hold third place. But once again, it is short-lived. Gina Kerr will take over the top spot among the chase group. The American hoping to end her pro career with a win, but right now she is well back of the leader. New pro Meredith Kiernan Kessler has been content to watch the exchanges between the veterans, but now she too is getting into the action as she moves past Kerr and into third. Up ahead, Canadian Samantha McGlone content to work alone as she pursues the leader. And the leader from the opening cannon, Great Britain's Leanda Cave. No one will dispute that Great Britain's Leanda Cave is one of the best triathletes in the world. The 31-year-old won gold at the 2002 ITU World Championship. Then in 2007, gold again at the ITU Long Distance World Championship. And a bronze that same year at the Foster Grant Ironman World Championship 70.3. What is the question about Leanda Cave is, will she ever win at the Ironman distance?
I've really excelled as a short middle distance athlete like the whole way, and I started doing Ironman a few years ago, and I've just not crossed over. I found it really, really difficult to go from short distance to the long, like Ironman distance, and it's really frustrating for me because normally I can get my body to do what I want it to do.
Her advantage over McGlone, 5 minutes. To the chase group, double that. Once again, she'll have a substantial lead for the marathon. However, the question remains, will this be the time she finally holds on for the win? American Jordan Rapp has now completed the 112-mile bike course. The 26.2-mile marathon now stands between him and a second straight Ironman title. The sun has been out all day. Add in the arid conditions that are a constant here in the Sonoran Desert, and it all contributes to the challenges of the day that make up Ford Ironman Arizona. American Jordan Rapp is no stranger to the area. He spends much of his time training in the region. A home course advantage of sorts. He heads out onto the marathon with the lead. In second, TJ Tollefson, another triathlete that is very comfortable in the desert. Tollefson now lives full-time in Tucson. Two men with close ties to the region. Two men who came within seconds of winning this race in 2008. Both have trained all year with the plan of closing out the season with the title, but only one man, of course, can win. The two rivals are separated now by just 74 seconds. The chase group beginning to finish the bike. American Eric Bean with a great final push. He's third. Right with him, Aussie Paul Ambrose. The pair over 9.5 minutes behind. Just back of them, the German Abel Torsten. This group will hope for the leaders to stumble. If not, third, well, that's very much up for grabs. It is a frantic time in the change tent. Precious seconds hanging in the balance. Still a full marathon to go. No one willing to concede the win just yet. However, for American Gina Kerr, her quest to close out her pro career with a win coming to an end. Literally, it's 4 minutes for drafting, and that's a 13-minute deficit. For Leanda Cave, well, it's 2 disciplines down, 1 to go. But it is the third discipline that has always been the problem with the Ironman for her. The first to begin pursuit, Canadian Samantha McGlone. Her deficit off the bike, 4 minutes, 32 seconds. For Cave, the former short distance star, she is in the exact position she expected to be starting the run, leading. What she did not know at the start of the day is what she would have left for the run. She's about to find that out. So the big challenge will come from McGlone. While Cave has struggled with the transition to the Ironman distance, the former Canadian Olympian, well, she's excelled. Cave's lead quickly now down from 5 to just 3 minutes. And there are more concerns on the horizon for the leader. Australian Kate Major has caught Meredith Kiernan Kessler. However, the big push is coming from American Lindsay Corbin, who is set to pass both of them. She is running quicker than all of the women, now just 7 minutes back of Cave. The pros heading for their final push. Still hours remaining for the amateurs. Ironman Hall of Fame member Greg Welch bringing us his view from the edge.
Here in Tempe, the Ford Ironman Arizona is one of the only courses in the world to have a 3-loop bike and a 3-loop run. So the Ironman game comes down to mental toughness. The training and the physical part is all taken care of, but the race day, it's all about mental focus. And I can tell you from past experience, mental lapses are costly. This course is set up great. At the end of each lap on the bike and the run, the athletes can fuel off the crowd and family members that stand on the side loaning their support.
Great race, Bill. We love you.
And maybe that is the key point for them, keeping their focus on the finish line.
Congratulations, good luck.
Way to go, way to go.
It's a scenario for Leanda Cave that has become all too familiar. Dominate on the swim and the bike, only to see it all fall apart on the run. Once again, the Great Britain star unable to hold on for an Ironman win.
You don't have to do another one.
It is Canada's Samantha McGlone that looks to be the one that will get her first Ironman title as she moves into top spot here at Ford Ironman Arizona. American Lindsay Corbett charging hard. A 4-minute drafting penalty late on the bike may end up being the difference as she may simply run out of real estate in her pursuit alone. For Jordan Rapp, well, he held off the early challenge on the run from TJ Tollefson, and the American now with what looks to be an insurmountable margin late in the marathon. TJ Tollefson's thoughts of a win have now been replaced with the reality of yet another late battle on the run just for second place. Germany's Abel Torsten has taken over third, and now moving up into second is a very real possibility as he sets his sights on the American. If the pair remain on their current pace, it will be very, very close. However, the story of the day for the pro men, New York's Jordan Rapp, will make it 2 straight Ironman wins. He just won in Canada, and now Rapp is the 2009 Ford Ironman Arizona champion.
Ironman and triathlon is one of those things where it's a long road, and you know, I'm fortunate to, I guess, have made it now, but there were a lot of years where the only reason I was able to keep going is because of my parents. And you know, everything that I have right now is all from the support that they gave me early on.
TJ Tollefson, of course, made it clear that he came here to win, but he won't, of course, and he has managed to hold on to second. A gutsy performance by the Iowa triathlete. He is once again the runner-up here in Arizona. Germany's Abel Torsten had Tollefson in his sights, but he comes up just a few seconds short. Torsten crossing the line third, everything he had left out on the course. Tollefson, Torsten separated by just 17 seconds. A number very familiar to the American. Last year it was his margin of defeat. 1 year later, he is on the other side of that 17 seconds as he holds off the German.
But that's up to Jordan, incredible race for him, and that's 2 in a row for him, 2 Ironman wins in a row, and that's 3 seconds for me in a row, so it's coming, that win's coming.
So it is Jordan Rapp with a course record at Ford Ironman Arizona. His time, 8 hours, 13 minutes, 35 seconds, followed by Tollefson, Torsten, Richie Cunningham in 4th, and Paul Ambrose rounding out the top 5. For Samantha McGlone, well, she has things in complete control. The only question now remains, will it too be a course record performance?
Go get him. Let's go, Sam.
For the former leader, Leanda Cave, well, once again, everything has becoming unraveled on the run, and dreams of a win now replaced with the goal of just making it to the finish line. While some here are now thinking about finishing off the run and completing their Ironman, for many, well, the ride still continues. Their immediate goal is to beat the mandatory bike cutoff time. Rudy Garcia Tolson is still out on course. He knows very well what it's like to miss the cutoff time, something he's determined not to have happen again. She has won a world championship for the 70.3 distance. She has a runner-up result at the Ford Ironman World Championship. And now, Canadian Samantha McGlone is on her way to a first-ever Ironman win. Samantha McGlone is your 2009 Ford Ironman Arizona champion.
Getting that Ironman win was a big step for me, and really this year's just about coming back. I started in February from nothing, and to end this year with a 5th at Kona and a 1st here is it's just a great launching pad for next season.
Lindsay Corbin with the run of the day from 6th to 2nd. The Montana triathlete crossing the line as she always does, proudly wearing her cowboy hat. She was 5th here in 2008. She now has her first ever podium finish at the Ironman.
It was incredible, you know, it was perfect conditions for racing, and I set a PR, and I thought, you know, a 9:15 would be pretty competitive, but Sam is an amazing athlete, so I'm happy with how it all played out.
Kate Major will round out the podium for the women, the Aussie crossing the line in 3rd. Samantha McGlone with a course record, 9 hours, 9 minutes, 19 seconds. Lindsay Corbin with a sub-3:05 marathon. Kate Major followed closely by Gina Kerr. Great Britain's Leanda Cave, who was the leader through 2 disciplines, settles for 5th. Here he comes. Rudy Garcia Tolson has completed the 112-mile bike.
Nice job, Rudy. Great job.
And his team is there as always to help him, but the distance, remember, every inch has to be completed on his own. The bike lanes quickly replaced.
There you go, Rudy.
Yeah, baby.
And with this step over the climbing mat, it is official. Rudy Garcia Tolson has beaten the mandatory cutoff time by a little more than half an hour. As the sun prepares to set over the Sonoran Desert, Garcia Tolson and his team now go about the task of preparing for the 3rd and final discipline, the marathon. Rudy is next.
Feeling good, but the race just started. I still got 26.
Yeah.
You got to run somewhere around 15-minute pace mile, Rudy, and you're looking good.
Go by.
You are now the hunter.
What can be done for Rudy by his team has all been done. The rest is now in his control. There are just under 7 hours remaining. Now the concern becomes beating the final cutoff time. The quest to complete this Ironman began hours ago, well before the sun would rise. For many, it will end well after the sun has set. But that doesn't matter to most. Getting over the finish line is what they came here to do, and do it any way they can. Among the thousands of spectators that are still out here lining the run course, Sandra Tolson, as she waits for her son Rudy, as he continues his attempt to become the first above-the-knee double amputee to finish the Ironman.
He's gone through hell and back, but man, he's showing a lot of people out there that you put your mind to something, you can do it. And Rudy is living proof. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. And right here tonight, Rudy is showing everybody in the world that anything is possible.
I met Rudy when he was 5. It was the day that he had his amputations. And Rudy's mom's first question was, well, how soon will my son run? And back then we didn't think about amputees running. We just focused on trying to get him to walk. I think Rudy's important because he's changing the perceptions of everybody. It's magic. And the world will be slightly different tomorrow because of Rudy.
To complete the distance, to make it to this point, takes months, even years of training. 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles on the bike, and finally a marathon. 3 disciplines totaling 140.6 miles, all for this very moment, crossing the finish line.
Congratulations.
Everyone has up to 17 hours to complete the distance. For Rudy Garcia-Tolson, the race is now into the final hour. With more than 50 minutes to spare, Rudy Garcia-Tolson is on the final stretch, on his way to doing what no one has ever done before.
No, I just stayed positive and I got through it, and I wanted to get to that finish line and I got it, so thank you everyone!
Well, Rudy, guess what, buddy? You are an Ironman!
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sport.